Welcome back to the dopest show you won't get sick of. I'm Spencer. This is Sasha. I spent most of my 20s in federal prison, but have been off heroin since April 9, 2010. Got a lot of stories about the stupid stuff I did to get put in prison. I've also got a lot of stories about the crazy stuff that happened while I was in prison. And God forbid you end up in prison, I want to make some of the same mistakes I made. So there's this dude named Little who's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. Unintentionally. His voice is funny. He talks like this. And Pinto, my buddy who you've heard me talk about, which I'll probably get on here doing videos with as soon as I confirm that I'm off federal probation. Can't consort or associate with felons on probation, get me in trouble. So I'm supposed to be off. It's been 5 years. I just need confirmation from them. Then I can get up, which I hate that I hadn't talked to, some of these people in so long, but, could run me into some issues, so I have to do it right. But anyway, Pinto and Little were best buddies. They ended up cellmates, which I lived right across the way. See, it's at the low security. There are not cells. At the building we were in, well, some buildings had cells. Each building was like a different prison altogether. The layouts it's so crazy how each building varied place to place. I worked in maintenance my first 6 months there, so I've been in every building there. Each building looks like a completely different prison. Now, this was in Carolina Hall. You walk in, it's an open area. There's 2 hallways that lead to 2 quadrants. As soon as you walk in, there's a door to the right. If you open that door, there's a stairwell. It goes up to an open TV room, 2 more hallways, 2 more quadrants. Each quadrant had about 35 people, 7-foot high cubicle dividers around the perimeter. Then there were 3 4-mans in the middle that had 4-foot dividers. There's also a bathroom. It's got a doorway you walk through. It's really private. Off to the left was you're not going to make eye contact with anybody when you're taking a shower. That's privilege. At the medium, you're going to make eye contact with people. There's a flap that goes knee to chest, and people that walk laps around the unit, you're going to see people make eye contact when you're trying to take a shower. It's uncomfortable. At the low, you didn't have to deal with that. The bathrooms, they had stalls with locks on them. Each quadrant had 2 stalls with locks on them. It was nice, kind of like a Sheetz gas station. It's like going in there. Same type of deal with that. And it also made it easier for people that was into doing drugs and stuff because they could lock the door and do whatever they wanted to do in there. And without anybody, guards aren't going to look over there, but there's one that would. There's one that would, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But so I lived in one of the middle 4-man rooms. It's got an open way. It's only 4-foot high divider. My room, my table where I fix my food faced Pinto's room and Little's room, the door that opened to it. So I'd always hear them going back and forth. Little, it was about 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, black man, bald head. He looked like he didn't have any lips. So Pinto'd always call him baby. What's going on, baby? And because he looked like a baby, he didn't have any lips. And his lip, it curled around his teeth. He had teeth, but it looked like he didn't have any teeth. You know when people don't have any teeth and their lips kind of curl in? That's what it looked like, but it's just how his face was made. And he loved to clown on people. Oh, he was treacherous. Pinto was his best friend, but oh man, he'd give him so many problems. He'd come in the TV room, Pinto'd be sitting in there, and he'd say, "Hey, Pinto, bring your fat butt in here. Come on, let's play some chess." Pinto's like, "Man, come on, leave me alone." And he'd keep antagonizing him until he played. Now, Pinto, he's big boy, he's big dude. He's probably about 5'10", 300. He got down to about 230 at one point, went back and forth on the weight, but Little would give him a hard time about it. And he'd be like, "They should have called you Dolly Parton. Titty City, that's your new nickname." Ah! That's how he laughed. Ah! I swear that's just like he did it. But there was a dude, Luna, after Little left, he'd do that laugh at random. And people thought Little was back. My cellie, this dude who I was in cell, he thought Little was back after Luna was imitating it. But that's what he'd do, and it was so annoying. Now, we clown on Little, too. My roommates who worked in maintenance got the boss to print off a picture of a glowworm, because where he didn't have any lips, and he looks like a glowworm. They put it on his bed. And he came back from work, and he found that on his bed, and he goes, "Oh, ha, ha, ha. Y'all mother think y'all so funny. Y'all." And a few months later, my roommate Blue told him, "Hey, what'd you think about that glowworm on your bed?" And he goes, "Ah, that was you? You mother, that really hurt my feelings." And how he talked, his voice made it even funnier. That's just how it was. That's just how he talked. I mean, couldn't help it, couldn't be changed. Now, I don't know if it was true. Pinto said it was true. Little was a robber, a bank robber, robbed a good many banks. Now, Pinto was probably just clowning. I don't know that this was true, but Pinto said the reason he got away with it so long was that he would dress up as a woman and go rob a bank. So then they thought that some woman robbed a bank, when in reality they were looking for a woman, and it was Little, which his voice sounded like a woman. So, I mean, I see how they do it, but I'm not sure if that was true. I'll have to ask Pinto that when I see him. But he used to say, "Yeah, it's how you got away from them banks." Yeah, I know about that, and he'd mess with him on that. So anyway, what ends up happening one day? It is terrible hot in the summer at the low security. They have no air conditioning. Some old folks could literally not take the heat, and they passed away. It happened a number of times. It's sad. It's messed up. You had to buy a fan from commissary. And I don't know how to explain it, but it gets so hot. When it's over 95 degrees, that little 12 or 16-inch fan, you put your face in front of it and you see the blade moving, but you don't feel anything. It's so hot you don't even feel the wind. Because I thought my fan was broke, but no, it was just so hot you couldn't feel it. So there are bars on the windows that go around the perimeter. There are bars on them, but you can open your windows. Some people do that in 0-degree weather and freeze you in the winter. But anyway, Little is in a cubicle next to this guy who's a store man, T-Rex. Now, T-Rex, the old biker, he was funny as could be too. And him and my buddy Jonesy, who's another hillbilly funny dude, were sitting there. Now, they've got big old, T-Rex got a big old beard, long hair. Jonesy got a buzz cut with a big old goatee. It comes down to here. They're just sitting there. Every 10 minutes on the hour, they open the compound for you to move from place to place. During that time, cops, the COs will just pat down random people walking place to place, try to catch them with something. There was a cop that was terrible. I cannot state how terrible this cop was. This dude was jacked. He was about 6'2", 220 pounds of muscle. Black dude, always had sunglasses on, and he spoke like this. He talked like he was a robot. And he'd say, "Excuse me, sir. I need to see your ID and pat you down." No cop asked for your ID before they pat you down, but he'd write you up, because technically you were supposed to have your ID. No guard cared about that. And normally what would happen is a guard would just get a random person as you're walking by, pat you down, let you go, get the next person. He would he'd have a line of 5 people and not let them go anywhere. By the time he got done searching them all, they'd missed the wreck move. They had to go back in the building. It really got annoying. And I'm going to tell you about how I deal with them like that. See, there's a certain way, God forbid you end up in prison, you almost have to become a sociopath to get by with certain things. And I learned a great way to deal with ones like him. You stay out of the way, but there's a certain tactic to it, and we'll get to it in a minute. But so, Robocop's out there. He's patting people down treacherously. Like, person after person, he's patting them down. Little is sitting here drinking his coffee. He'd just drink his coffee, and he'd yell at the window just talking to people. You know how comedians just pick people out of the audience and make fun of them? He'd do that out the window on 10-minute moves, and it was funny. It made my time go by. I mean, he kept me, like, my stomach hurt, like I laughed so hard so many times at him. My abs, like, physically hurt because I laughed so hard. Now, you've got him, a black man standing in this one cell, Little. You got T-Rex and Jonesy, a biker and a hillbilly, big old beard, big old goatee, sitting there looking out the window as people are walking during the 10-minute move. Little goes, "Oh, man, well, if it ain't Robo," and he said the N-word. If it ain't Robo. Well, Robocop turned around and looked at Jonesy and T-Rex. He thought they were the ones that dropped the N-bomb. And because of that, he gave him a look like, "I'll get you." Well, Jonesy walks over there. Little had his headphones on, and he slaps him in the back of the head, and he goes, "Ow, mother, what'd you do that to me for? What'd I do to you?" And he said, "Well, you're going over here saying Robo N-word. what do you think? He turns around, sees us two, and he goes, oh man, he thought that was And so now Robocop thinks that they're the two that said that. Wouldn't you know, the next day Robocop had it arranged so he could work our unit. Oh, he tore up everybody. He must have went through, I'm not exaggerating, there's about 140, 160 people in there. He must have tore through 40, 50 cells. It's all he did. See, there's something I learned. When you got a short cop, you hide stuff high because they're too short to get up there. When you got a big, tall, fat cop, you hide stuff down low because their fat butt ain't going to get down on their knees looking under stuff. So depending on what the cop was, that depended on how you hid your stuff. And also in the summertime, the guards have a little office that's like the size of a little closet, and they've got an air conditioner in it, nice and cold, because when they hand out mail, you have to go back and get it from them out of their office. They hand out to each person, put up a mail list. Well, it's cool coming out of there. Well, Robocop, I'd heard all this bad stuff about him, and there was somebody in the religious unit that had talked to me, who actually has passed away since, and he said that Robocop approached him late night reading it, and he said that basically the reason he acted crazy like he did was because it was his way to like break the ice or something, talk to people, and somehow minister to them about about the Lord or whatever. So whenever it was in passing, he searched me and he expected me to get an attitude one day. And I mentioned something about lifting weights, and he used to brag to everybody that he did 2,000 push-ups a day. I don't know about all that, but that's what he told everybody he did. So I have this in mind, and I know the religious stuff. And I go back and I say something to him whenever he pats me down, expects me, he says, do you have your ID, sir? I said, yes, sir. And I said, just so you know, I said, I know y'all tell me you don't care, but, there's a lot of weirdos in here. I had a drug problem in here for a drug charge, so I'm not a chum. I just want, well, I don't care about that, sir. I said, well, I heard you work out a good bit. Now, this is in public. You can't talk to cops in private ever because that's a stigma. But if people are moving on the walkway, he's already searching me. And to distract him off of it, yeah, I'm mentioning this. Now, I did have a few belts. Now, we'd use belts to stick two dumbbells together so you could row two dumbbells at the same time. So we could row like 90, 100 pounds. We only had dumbbells that went up to 60. I don't want him to find that, so I'm trying to stretch. Yeah, I heard you do some like 2,000 push-ups a day. He said, yes, but I only do them 10 at a time. That's my theory towards life, slow and incremental, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's a good thing, I've been, trying to get closer to the Lord and this, and that, and keep it brief. I kept it brief. He didn't end up finding my belts. But after I had that brief conversation with him, he never messed with me. And the next day, see, when you get a pill line, they have a pill line. If you get medication, you have to get it in the morning, the evening. They let that out. There's a 10-minute move every hour, but they call pill line at like, it's like 6:30. I believe it was 6:30, 7:30. Might have been 7:30, 7, but it's shortly after the move ends. He'd search people on the way. No guard do that, but he's standing there with this other guard, and there's this other guard that was always out there, and he'd be out there, there's always the cool guard. The one who's really a cool dude, but he tries to be one of the inmates. Now, that's the guard who's standing there talking to Robocop. And he's walking by, and he asked me something about how much weight I got on the deadlift, because that was like when I was trying to do it, and he was out there trying to be cool in the mix, and I told him, and I said something about it, and and Robocop said, just real sternly, he said, I had the pleasure of speaking to this gentleman the other day. Very kind, very respectful young man. I believe he'll do good when he gets at it. I said, I just take it one day at a time, man, trying to get through. I appreciate you. Walk on it, keep it brief. But that one little thing got me good. And I learned that from Boone. There's a friend of mine, I talked about it. He went by Big Midget. There's a guard in there that used to work for, or play for the Green Bay Packers. He was a lineman, got his leg hurt. They said he could bench press like 495 for 3. Complete prick. Complete prick. This is not Robocop. This is another nightmare of a cop. Some people don't go get breakfast. This other cop used to be a Green Bay Packers player. He'd stand there singing, well, as loud as he could. Some people are sleeping. Some people work the night shift, and he'd sing just to be annoying. I told Boone, I said, I can't stand him, man. I said, he's terrible. He said, he ain't so bad. He said, I'll tell you how to get him to never mess with you again. I said, how? because he tore my stuff a number of times. At the meeting, he cut weight bags up and everything. I said, ask him for a workout tip. He said, tell him about your deadlifting. And I told him about my deadlifting, and he said, you getting all that? And somebody next to me like, yeah, he is. And I said, but my bench press, I got a bad bench press, can't get it above. Tell me what it was. And he named a workout. It was actually a decent workout. I actually did it. Boone, I was working with his group. He actually had us doing that workout for a little bit. I asked him that it was a 20-second interaction. Not chilling, not talking, not becoming friends. You don't do that. You can't talk behind closed doors. If it's in the open, that brief little if you can make them identify you as a human. See, they're taught that you are an inmate, you're a number, you're not even human. But if you can make them realize, I'm not such a bad, I'm a human. I'm not that bad. Matter of fact, you lift weights. I love lifting weights too. We have a common interest, you see? And if you can make them relate, understand, if you can relate on a way that we're not so different. We both like working out. Yeah, I did some bad stuff. You get put in prison. Yeah, you're sick. But it makes them not bother you. That one conversation I had with him, he never once searched my cell. Never once. Didn't have, it was probably, we're standing there waiting on the 10-minute move to go to rec. It's at the door, he's standing at the door. Just probably about 30, 45-second conversation. People are crowded around anyway, some people, and that stopped him from messing with me. But anyway, yeah, he tore T-Rex and Jonesy stuff up. And he'd take stuff, anything that was altered, anything, the Robocop guy, and he was terrible. Now, like I said, there's stalls. One of my buddies who was in Richmond Hall was doing number 2. He said he's doing number 2 in this stall, and he looks up, and he sees Robocop's head poking above the window. Said he sees a head with sunglasses looking down at him taking a number 2. And he said, whoa, what the? He says, don't mind me, sir. And then you see him vanish, and he walks away. He would do this, like, I'm going to try to do this right. He would do stuff, he did this for attention. He walked in the TV room. He didn't look side to side. Like, he walked in, and then he turned on a heel like this. Oh, my foot. He turned on a heel like, he got there, and he goes, looks to the left, looks to the right, then he turned. Like he was a literal robot. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, he did this for attention. He did so bad. He was telling on the staff. He told on this lieutenant they had there. She got him put on guard duty. So he drive the perimeter. He was pulling over people's families that were coming for visitation. Pulled over my mom. I get her to tell you about that. Terrible. You got some of these people. There's a thing called the Stanford Prison Experiment. It's an experiment done at Stanford University, and it imploded basically. But there were some COs that just did their job. There were some that felt bad for the inmates, would sneak them an extra something. And then there were 2, one more than the other, that were malicious, sadistic, that liked to punish people for no damn reason. And then there were inmates. There's the ones that rebel. There's the ones that just go with the program. Then there are the ones that, and break down and have a mental breakdown. At Stanford Experiment, I took that in sociology before going to prison. It helped me learn a lot about people. Basically, you stay out of the way, but that identifying on a level, I know it's crazy, but that one conversation, it never messed with me. Never messed with me after that, And Boone told me right. He said, ask for what? He said, I'll never search your cell again. It's like, man, you got this figured out. So I applied that with other ones. But anyway, I got more stories about that crazy dude. We gave him a hard time. I remember his last day. Oh, we did all kinds of pranks on him. Me and this dude, Curl, who's from Petersburg, we got 2 buckets of ice. They got ice machines in the prison. And we filled them up with water, too. If you just throw ice, it's not going to hit people's heart. But the water, oh, man. He was in the shower. We waited till he got in the shower. We threw that ice water over top of the shower. The first one hit him. He goes, ow, you mother. And he's in the middle of yelling at us. And Curl threw the second one. He goes, oh, it got my mouth, you son of a... But Little, man, that's one of the funniest people I met. But him hollering out that robo stuff that he said, it made it look like Jonesy and T-Rex said something they shouldn't have said. Yeah. Had Robocop tearing it up. I get Pinto on here to tell you about that. Comments, I've been going back and getting to them. I've had a whole lot of family stuff going on the last couple days. Sorry, I'm trying to get back to everyone, but the past couple days been really hectic. If you liked the video, if you watched at this point, press the like button. If not, I have just wasted 19 minutes and 40 seconds of your life in which you'll never get back. But I truly hope you did. Y'all have a good one.